Hello, Internet.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
I'm doing okay. I'm just gonna crack open a little beer here. I don't feel comfortable with public speaking, so don't mind if I do. Hey, looking good, man. Did you lose a little weight or something? God damn, I'm spilling my beer all over the place now.
Dumbass.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, wonderful. Super duper. We're off to a great start. So I've been spending a lot of time at home in the last few weeks, getting fat, obviously not shaving. Looks like I just climbed out of a sewer or something. And I apologize for my low camera quality. I'm working on that. Anyway, I'm going to try not to swear in this video because I understand the wonderful people who control YouTube
Fascists.
are not a big fan of that kind of stuff, so I'll try to keep it clean because I want to reach as many people as possible with this. This video is going to be really different than anything I've uploaded so far, but I really hope some people can get some positivity out of it.
Yeah, okay, Tony Robbins.
Now, if you clicked on this video, you're either interested in learning a little more about my past, or you're just curious about what kind of advice a dummy like me has to give you. And disclaimer, I am a complete moron.
We know that.
None of you should listen to anything I have to say. That would be very disastrous. I just want to get that out of the way because I don't want to come across as a guy who believes he has all the answers.
Hi, Telmo.
Now, I don't want to get all Tony Robbins on your ass, but I can honestly say that at this point in my life, this is the happiest I've ever been. And I truly do love myself. And I understand that might sound really cheesy to a lot of people, unfortunately, but, unfortunately, self-love often gets labeled as uncool. And I'm not particularly sure why. Maybe the popularity of grunge music in the 90s had something to do with that, I don't know.
Even flow.
Now, it's really important for me to tell you that despite how happy I am currently in my life, externally speaking, I don't really particularly have much going on for me.
Loser.
To be honest with you, I'm kind of a loser, as the little Took says. I'm 33 years old. I live in my mommy's basement. I'm actually recently unemployed, so things are going real well. Now, despite my external situation, I can tell you that internally I'm at peace with myself and I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I really do have an appreciation for life that I haven't really experienced before up until this point. Now, how could that even be possible, you might ask? When I was a teenager, I was a pretty miserable person. And I had some times in my life where I was pretty consumed by depression and anxiety, and it had a pretty good hold on me, unfortunately. I spent at least a month in a couple of different mental hospitals.
You're a crazy person.
There were a lot of characters in there, I can tell you that. It was quite an interesting experience. And I was put on a variety of different psych meds and antidepressants that only seemed to make everything worse. There's also a period where I would just smoke pot all day, every day, 420, blaze it.
420, blaze it.
But it was bad. It was just a really bad habit that I had no control over at that time. I was also a pretty big vandal. I used to just break stuff just for my own amusement. It was a really bad hobby
You're a bad person.
that I'm sure the community did not appreciate. But basically, I was just, an asshole punk kid causing trouble. At my worst points, I was even borderline suicidal and unfortunately developed a bad habit of self-mutilation.
Emo.
But more on that later. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that I was not a very good person at that time. I definitely had a lot of work to do on myself. It wasn't easy, man. It took a lot of work. I scratched and clawed my way here, man. It was hard. But the thing is, if I did it, you can do it. If there's anyone right now listening to this who can relate to what I just told you and who's in a situation like that, it can get better. Absolutely. I'm not a special person. You can do it too. Now, obviously, I'm not a psychologist, but one of the things that really helped me get over this destructive behavior was understanding why I was behaving like that, why I was choosing to live that way. And over the years, I've really had a lot of time to think back on my past behavior and figure out why I was doing it. Unfortunately, like many people in life, I was bullied a lot growing up. The bullying that I experienced wasn't really over the top or anything. It was pretty standard stuff. And I hope this doesn't make me sound arrogant at all, but many of you might be thinking, "But Louis, how could such a strong, handsome, and almost young man like you ever get bullied?"
None of us are thinking that.
Bam. That's how. That's how. Oh, yeah. I know. Anyway, like I said, the bullying I experienced wasn't really that awful, but I've always just kind of been sort of a sensitive person, so I think I took it really personally, and it really upset me.
Pussy.
And unfortunately, it was these events that kind of brought me into a downward spiral of self-loathing, and it chained me to a phobia of people. My past behavior was very fear-driven, but fear is also a very powerful thing, and if harnessed correctly, it can be a very beneficial tool in your life.
What the hell are you talking about?
So if you can relate to any of the stuff I just told you and you're interested in living a happy, healthier life, this video is particularly for you. So I hope some of the tips I can give you will help you. Now, the first one might seem really obvious to a lot of you, but I can tell you from personal experience that at my most miserable points, this was definitely something that I completely ignored, and it was not part of my life at all. I had zero interest in it. Number one, proper diet and exercise.
That's dumb.
Like I said, in my most miserable points, I was not active at all. In fact, I kind of thought the idea of working out in general was just kind of a lame idea, and it was something that douche jocks only took part in. And to make things even worse, my diet was just complete trash. I'm talking regularly eating processed microwave foods and all kinds of desserts and junk, and considering that a meal, eating a bunch of sugar right before bed, just terrible. The worst you could imagine. It was bad. Now, this terrible diet, along with the lack of activity, only exaggerated my depression and anxiety. The fact is that if you don't provide your body and mind with the proper nutrients that it requires, it's only going to make things worse. And your chances of feeling like poop will only increase. Yes, I said poop. Now, I can't honestly tell you right now that my diet lately has been very clean. I've been spending a lot of time at home, eating a lot of junk food and munchies. But for the most part, I tend to eat a pretty clean diet. I think physical activity is an incredibly underrated antidepressant, particularly cardiovascular exercise like swimming or running. Cardio workouts release endorphins in your brain that will generally improve your mood and your sense of well-being, of course. I learned that very quickly when I finally decided to get a gym membership. From my personal perspective, it's really impossible to push yourself through a really tough cardio workout and not feel at least a little bit better when you're done. It took me a long time to make the decision to start being an active person, but I can remember one very specific moment that made me make that decision and change my life. Now, as I stated earlier, I was not a happy person, and along with all that depression and anxiety came a lot of anger and rage as well. I basically had a phobia of people, and hate and anger, it was basically what helped me get through that when I was in public and, working out in the world, and etc. So in my early 20s, I was mopping a grocery store. I was a janitor there. It was a pretty crappy job. After about a year of working there, I had so much bottled up rage. I can't even tell you, man. And it was really getting to the point where I knew I had to do something about it. But the last straw for me was basically hearing a coworker in the lunchroom say something about me that wasn't very nice. I was working just outside the lunchroom, and I heard him having a conversation with some lady, and I heard my name come up. That caught my attention, so I listened in, and then I heard him say the following life-changing statement. "If you're a bitch, you do bitch work." Oh yeah. I can't even begin to tell you how much my blood was boiling when I heard that. But I'm not a maniac.
Yeah, you are.
I restrained my rage, and in fact, I didn't even confront the guy about it. Maybe because I was too scared.
Pussy.
What I can tell you, though, is that single statement lit a fire under my ass. It basically set ablaze to all the bottled-up rage that I was carrying around. And I definitely had some very violent fantasies about that fella.
You're crazy.
But we won't get into that. What really pissed me off about it, though, was he was acting like he was better than me, We worked in the same shitty little grocery store. Oops, I swore. And he was a stock boy, He was acting like he was some sort of prince. So that was very aggravating. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because it was that moment that made me make the decision to start being a stronger person. I quit my job, and then I started focusing on lifting weights and running, and I did that for about a year. And I didn't make that decision just to be able to deal with my anger, but I also did it because I knew I had to become more capable of dealing with assholes like that guy. I actually still think about him sometimes, but I don't even remember the guy's name. But this was a pretty life-changing moment in my life, and it was the beginning of a personal journey to overcome my issues. I started eating a nutritious diet, regularly lifting, like I said, running on treadmills. That was basically my entire focus for that year. I have very fond memories of that period because it was all new to me, and it brought me a lot of happiness. So after increasing my physical fitness and strengthening my body, I knew I had to learn how to fight. Even though I was getting a lot of happiness simply working out at a community center, I knew that I still needed that little extra something to help me deal with my anger issues. Lifting and running were a great tool to manage and control that anger, but I knew that if I didn't get into some fights, I was going to explode. So I decided that boxing was a good place to start because it's a pretty simple martial art. When it comes to the grand scale of martial arts, it's relatively pretty simple because you're just basically focusing on throwing punches and dodging punches, footwork, etc., etc. So I thought that was a good place to start. I can't even begin to tell you how intimidating it was to step into a boxing gym at that time in my life because I didn't even know how to throw a jab or anything. So it was scary, but I knew I had to do it because it was going to benefit me. I just had to suck it up. So I trained hard there for about a year, doing lots of sparring, lots of conditioning, learning the techniques. And at the end of that year, I actually had an exhibition fight at one of their house shows against another one of the gym members. It was an incredibly fulfilling experience and a very important moment in my life. Just as a funny side note though, when I did arrive to the gym for that particular fight, for some reason the boxing commissions make you shave before the match. But anyway, they forced me to buy one of their razor blades and then go into the bathroom to shave my face clean, even though I just had a little bit of stubble. And you know, while I was in there like trying to like do it quickly so I can have my fight, I cut my earlobe and it was just bleeding. And I remember sitting in front of the boxing ring waiting for my match, and I was just holding a towel to my ear, and I just felt so dumb. I was just sitting there like this. Anyway, the whole build up to that moment for that night was pretty intense, and it was definitely intimidating. But like I said, I'm glad I did it. It was very fulfilling. So after that exhibition fight, I felt like I had enough boxing, and I just went back to the community center to just focus on just physical fitness. And for a while, I felt like my anger problems weren't really an issue. But then as time passed, I realized there was more in the tank. Now, I was never really particularly a boxing fan. I never followed the sport. You know, I just got into that sport because I wanted to learn how to fight, and like I said, it was pretty simplistic in nature. But I was always a longtime fan of mixed martial arts, and I knew I had to learn the techniques involved with that sport in particular. That's when I met my coach, Mr. Danny Bouclair, and started learning how to throw kicks and knees correctly. Grappling was also something that was very new to me, and it was really fun learning how to properly strangle people and break limbs.
Oh, watch out, we got a badass over here.
During my time training at Danny's gym, Black Devil MMA, now known as 6 MMA, link in the description of this video, I took part in several grappling tournaments and exhibition fights. These were all great experiences, and I learned a lot through them, but my greatest accomplishment in amateur martial arts is right here. Oh yeah.
Quit bragging, man.
God damn, you're sexy, girl. With the help of my coach and training partners, I was able to win a 16-man tournament down in Iowa. This tournament was specifically Muay Thai, and I was able to win 4 fights in 3 days, and it was definitely the most physically challenging thing I've ever put myself through. Anyway, let's have a little fun and take a look at a few clips from my favorite fight.
Finish him! Fatality! Yeah!
That was fun. Don't worry, he's fine. He's fine. Now, experiencing victory in martial arts competition was a very fulfilling thing for me, and it helped me put an end to the victim complex I was carrying around for many years. When you're successful in the heat of battle and you overcome your fears in that situation and you end up the dominant one, it's an incredibly therapeutic experience that I highly recommend. It's a really intense and positive way to deal with your past traumas. Now, obviously, I'm proud of my accomplishments, but I'm not telling you this just to brag. I'm telling you this because you can do it as well. Like I said earlier, I'm not a special person, and anyone who is willing and determined to put the effort in can make that happen for themselves as well. Now, at this point in the video, I'd like to take some time to just be a pretentious douchebag and share with you a famous Chinese proverb. Oh yeah. Martial arts is a beautiful tool that can help you improve your life. No matter what your goals are, martial arts is for everyone. Everyone. Whether you just want to get in better shape or learn some self-defense or become a world champion. Now, I know I've been yapping a lot and I really appreciate your time. This next tip I give you is going to be a little bit controversial. Please understand that that's mainly because of years of government propaganda and misinformation out there.
Boom! Drugs.
Oh yeah, what is that?
You're doing drugs.
Psychedelic mushrooms, baby. Disclaimer, I am not advising you to go out and buy a bunch of shrooms and just eat them like a madman.
Do it.
I won't get too into this topic for this particular video, but from my personal experience, this stuff is a beautiful, natural medicine and antidepressant with 0 side effects. The only danger of this stuff is basically just having a bad trip, and that only happens at the higher doses. I've experienced a couple of bad trips and oh boy, they were not fun. They were not fun, but they also can be extremely beneficial for making you a happier, healthier person mentally. But like I said, that's probably a story for another day. Now, what I will tell you is this stuff has really helped me out a lot in my life, and it's really just made me appreciate life a whole lot more and just generally be a happier person. And if you believe that it might help you as well, then I encourage you to do a lot of research. Before you even consider taking it, do a lot of research.
Do drugs.
It's very important because this stuff is not a toy. It's a very powerful tool. It's a very powerful tool that can help you, but you have to know what you're getting into. I highly recommend listening to a man named Paul Stamets discuss the topic because he's an expert in this field. He's a mycologist. He has a lot of personal experience with this stuff as well and has done a lot of research. I don't believe that psychedelic mushrooms are for everyone, probably not. But for me personally, it's really helped me work out a lot of internal problems and just be a better person in general. All right, let's get a little darker here. Earlier in the video, I told you that I used to self-mutilate. Now, first of all, if you're someone who regularly self-mutilates, please stop it.
Don't tell me what to do with my life.
Please stop it and get some help.
Shut up.
There are much more productive ways of dealing with your frustrations. And listen, I get it. I've totally done it before. I understand that it feels very therapeutic when you're into that. But it's incredibly self-destructive behavior, and like I said, there are better ways to do it. There are better ways to deal with your issues. Martial arts being one of them. I can't even describe to you how happy I was when I started getting into boxing and doing all the sparring. I was allowed to hit people. I mean, it was incredible. It was so liberating to just legally hit people in the face and not go to prison. And basically what I'm trying to tell you is I discovered the joys of hurting others instead of myself. Most people, when they hear self-mutilation, they immediately think cutting. And I wasn't much of a cutter myself. I dabbled in it a little bit, but I was always mostly a burner. Yeah. Now I'm going to get a little graphic here, so if you don't want to hear it, please just mute the video or something. But basically what I would do was heat a piece of metal over the stove and then press it against my skin.
What a mental case.
Yeah. I'm not proud to tell you that, but it's something I used to do. I was a pretty sick kid, if you haven't figured that out. And it got to the point where a lot of my torso was covered in scar tissue. And I even burned the word help into my abdomen backwards, which is pretty messed up, you know? Now, as you can imagine, I have a lot of scar tissue left over from those days. It took a lot of time to minimize it as much as possible with the help of a dermatologist and the help of a laser skin clinic. But back to my time competing in martial arts, one of my biggest fears stepping into the ring was not even the fight itself. It was just walking out there shirtless and having people look at my scars and judging me over it and wondering, like, what's this kid been doing? What's going on here? That was always in the back of my mind, and it always added an extra element of fear going into a competition, and I would kind of have to just block that out and say, you know, F that. Focus on the dude trying to end your life. Now, I remember a moment where it was one of my first exhibition fights, and I took off my shirt, and my coach saw, and he was like, dude! And I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good. Anyway, over the past year or so, I've actually been getting a lot of tattoos over the remainder of my scar tissue, and it's been a pretty liberating experience.
Sounds like you got a bad habit, bro.
It's really cool to replace that dark and unfortunate aspect of my life with beautiful artwork. It took me a long time to actually step into a tattoo shop to get this stuff done because I was always kind of concerned that it might make the scar tissue worse. Plus, I'm never looking forward to ever showing a stranger my scar tissue. It's just, you know, it's embarrassing. Anyway, I'm really lucky to have a nice little tattoo shop near my place. It's literally like a 7-minute walk, and I've been getting a lot of work done there. The guy who does my stuff is incredibly talented. I'll leave a link to his Instagram in the description. I'll show you some of the cool stuff he's done on me. Oh no. Oh no. I'm jacked. Oh, I just took a dump. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm actually getting pretty fat. Too much junk food, man. Oh yeah. That's cool as hell, man. This was actually the spot that had the most of my scar tissue, and he did a really good job covering it up. Then we got my homeboys over here. Yeah, I'm not sure what they are. I think they're turtles that also happen to be ninjas for some reason. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Yeah, you can see a little remainder of the scars here that I'm going to cover up soon as well. And I got some crazy stuff on my chest. Look at this boy right here. The Executioner. Yeah, brother.
All your tattoos are trash.
I am Satan.
Anyway, it's a pretty awesome feeling to not have to worry about people seeing my scars and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Now, the final tip I have for you is actually pretty cliche, and it's also still very new to me. Follow your dreams. So for the past 5 years, I was actually working at a condominium as a security guard / concierge. But that was definitely the best job I've ever had, but I recently quit. After taking some quarantine time and really thinking over my life, I realized that I didn't want to go back.
What a lazy loser.
So basically what I'm doing now is just really focusing on building this YouTube channel. And my dream is to get it to a point where I'm at least making as much money as I was making as a security guard.
That's your dream?
So that's basically what I'm focusing all my time on right now. So far I have a little bit over 50 subscribers. The channel is only a few weeks old, but it's a labor of love.
Your YouTube channel ain't shit.
It's not a big dream, but I think it would really make me happy to have a cool YouTube channel to work on that I make some money off of. It's been a really fun project for me, and this thing is my baby, and I hope that I can nurture it into something great over time.
Your YouTube channel will never be anything.
With a lot of hard work, of course. I've been slowly upgrading my equipment. You can expect better quality videos soon, higher production quality as well.
Your content sucks.
I have plenty of savings in my account right now, which is good.
Yeah, sure you do.
Especially since I live in my mommy's basement, like I said earlier. And she doesn't charge me rent, so... So basically, if this whole YouTube thing doesn't work out, I can just go back to working as a security guard, and that'd be fine. You know, if that happens, at least I had a lot of fun with this channel, and yeah, man, it's all good. So I just wanted to dive in a little bit about my unfortunately dark past, because it's a really frustrating thing to see your friends going through similar behavior patterns of self-destruction, and you know, you're trying to help them, and they're not interested in your help, and they get offended and start resenting you. That sucks. If someone that I don't know sees this video and it helps them, then it's just frustrating when you see a friend in a dark pit of suffering and you offer your hand. Bro, get out of there. Take my hand, man. Take my hand, bro.
Go away. I don't need your help. I'm gonna do all the drugs.
Yeah, that sucks. Darkness is a part of life, man. There's darkness in all of us, but you can't let it destroy you. You gotta control it. You gotta wrangle it. You gotta put it in a cage and make fun of it. You gotta use that darkness to help you. Don't let it control you. You gotta make friends with it. Be like, hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm coming for you, boy.
You're still my bitch, right?
The demons are coming for you, boy.
Yeah, that's what I thought, you stupid fuck. Oops.
I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, that's what I thought, you clown. I own you, darkness. So that's about it for this video. I really hope that you can share this because it would really help my channel out a lot. The more people it reaches, hopefully the more people it will help as well, including myself. If you're new to my channel, please check out my stuff. I'm sure I have some stuff that you might like at least a little bit. If not, you'll maybe just get a chuckle or two. I would appreciate it if you subscribe.
I'm definitely not gonna subscribe.
And peace, bro.
Later.
That's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Is that a wrap?